Good morning. It's the 26th of May, about 10:30. Just checked out of the motel. Walking through Cuba, back on the CDT. Had nearly 72 hours in town. Iced down my shins, elevated my shins, tried to limit my walking. I'm sure it did me all good. Although I must say, when I was icing down my shins, a lot of times they just ached. I mean, just as bad as, at the end of a long day. But it is what it is. I'm headed out of town and doing the next leg. I've been thinking about the mechanics of walking and backpacking, and maybe how in my case I got the shin splints. One viewer of my vlog suggested to shorten my stride, and I actually think that's right. I think I overstride, and so I am at the ragged edge of the range of motion when it comes to walking. You think about walking, and I've been thinking a lot about the mechanics of walking, especially walking on the flat. So when you're going up and down a mountain, you tend to use your thighs to propel yourself up, all the way up into your glutes. When you're walking on the flat, you don't use your glutes and you don't use your thighs nearly as much. You tend to use all of the muscles in your lower legs, in the calves. I remember listening to a podcast from I believe he's a Triple Crowner by the name of Karate Kid that I met in the Smokies 2 years ago. And I subsequently listened to an interview of him on Hiker Radio. And he said he could recognize long distance hikers not from their gear, even if they didn't have anything, but by the size of their calves, because their calves were big and their thighs tended to be kind of small. And I've noticed that in my own life, in my own body, going back years and years to when I was just a young pup. And after a few weeks hiking, my thighs tended to atrophy, but my calves got really big, because that's what you're using in the mechanics of walking, especially on relatively flat ground. Well, New Mexico is flat. There's almost no up and down. And I think overextending my leg has put pressure on those muscles at the front of my lower leg. So I'm going to consciously try to take shorter strides, maybe even quicker strides, just to sort of maintain the pace. But I don't know that it's necessarily having to do with the absorbing of the shock, heel strike, that kind of thing. Maybe a bit, but...
Hey there.
Hi there. Were you in the Navy?
Yes, I was.
What did you do?
Machinist mate.
All right. God bless. Me, well, I wasn't a machinist mate, but I was in the Navy too. Oh, I did intel. Hang on here.
So what'd you do?
Before I was even out of town, hiking along this park, city park, and saw a fellow wearing some Navy, like US Navy shorts. So we had to stop and talk about the Navy, and he did mostly reserve time. But you know, you make the connections. He's from San Diego. We talked about San Diego. While I was talking to him, Mrs. Trujillo, whose family maintains the water cache and who is a trail angel, came by, getting her exercise on the track that goes through the park. So we talked, and I asked her to sign my pack, which she was gracious enough to do. Thinking a little bit more about the mechanics of walking. One of the things that I do, I have found helpful in the past, is when I am having really any sort of pain, knee pain, hip pain, foot pain, when I'm hiking, is to consciously, between steps, relax. To walk sort of like the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, or think of Puddleglum from The Silver Chair, and just be completely loose, to relax the leg, at least for a few milliseconds, maybe even a tenth of a second, so it's not tensed up all the time, like it's gonna hurt, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna hurt. And for the first few strides, when you do that, it actually does hurt a little bit more, but I found that when you consciously relax, in the long term, it doesn't hurt so much. Whether or not that's going to help my shin splints, whether or not it's going to help heal, I don't know. But it may help contain the damage, if you will, to allow the muscle to be that much more relaxed throughout the day. So that's another one of the things that I'm trying to do, other than adjust my stride a little bit. You got to be careful when you mess with your natural gait. You can create problems you didn't already have. But I think adjusting the length of my stride a little bit downward is all to the good. Okay, moving on along the shoulder leading out of Cuba, New Mexico. One other little aside here as I head out of Cuba, still heading out of Cuba, northbound on the CDT. I'm actually heading south right now. Yeah, the road heads south to connect with another road that will head to a trailhead later today. Yeah. It's not too demoralizing to be heading south as one is heading north, at least for a few miles. Maybe just a little bit demoralizing, but it's a nice day. So I'm climbing up the mountain here. I've gained, I don't know, probably several hundred feet. Got quite a bit ways to go. I'll probably get a better view up higher, just in case I don't. Let me point a few things out here. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit and it'll focus. Okay, so that, let me see if I can, that is Mount Taylor. And if I am oriented correctly, you know, a few days ago, oops, sorry, there we go. A few days ago, I had some awesome sunset shots. And I think, let's see if I can get my pole, whoop, there we go. It's like from right there, and that little thing right there is the is the little volcanic plug that was just down beneath it. Over here, I took some pictures of that off to the side one day. And so the CDT comes down, crosses that flat part, goes up onto that mesa. There we go. Goes along, down, 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 down. Let me see if I can zoom out so you can get a little wider scope there. And then dumps out, and I can actually see it here, and I hope you can too. It's sort of like a little road right there, which is that road walk that goes around the corner and into Cuba, which is right over there. You can see some of the buildings in Cuba. So yeah, I could see all the way back to Mount Taylor, which I climbed up just after Grants. Right there, it has to be Mount Taylor. Cool. It's nice to be up here in the west where you get these long vistas and you can see where you came from, where you're going. If you're on the AT in the Long Green Tunnel, you usually can't do that. You know, you go up a mountain and down a mountain and up a mountain, and you never get the sense of progress and in the area that you've covered. So anyway, just a little orientation. Nice delightful change here in the trees and in the vegetation. Yep, this is where I'm going to camp. Yep. Time to find a site, and there are a few other people around. People I probably know can say hello to.